Okay, great, wonderful. Welcome everybody, CannaTech 2019. I'm Perry Antelman. It is really an honor to be able to present here today. It was actually I can't believe it, just 12 months ago, 1 year ago today, that I was in the audience listening to VCs up here. And that is the route that we actually ended up taking our company as we are, as of just the last day of January, became a public company on the Canadian Stock Exchange. So I am the CEO and founder of Abacus Health Products, a pharmaceutical company that has been blessed with being able to work with this wonderful substance of CBD from hemp extract. Now, I need to somehow present a 4-day seminar in about 8 to 10 minutes. So just follow along. I've got to go pretty quickly, but what I will do is I'm going to leave a few minutes at the end for some questions, and I will be here for the next 3 days. So I'd love to be able to discuss any further questions that you might have for the rest of the conference. We have in front of you 2 brands, and you can see these brands send a pretty clear message of the crossover between cannabis and pharma, and that is what we've had to do is walk this fine line. I love this quote: "The history of the pharmaceutical industry in the 20th century is not related to the development of science. It is related to the development of science within government regulation." This is key, this is core, because at the end of the day, you need to commercialize what you're doing. If you want to get it out into the hands of the public to help people, it has got to be done within the government regulation. It doesn't mean you can't develop the science, it just means it has to go within that framework. So, how do we integrate pharma with cannabis? On one side, we have Tylenols, right? We have triple antibiotic ointment, and the other side, we have CBD hummus. Now, it's got to be an Israeli product. And if it's not, it should be, but I bet it's delicious. And then we also have Weedos. So how do we integrate the two? How do we find that proper balance between these two large sectors? So one way is the product that you're looking at in the intersection there. That is CBD Medic. That is from our company, and that is actually why I'm presenting today. So I'll tell you just a little bit about myself, but also the company that I founded over 15 years ago. It is a dermatological pharmaceutical company specializing in topical and prescription drug development. And how our company, as a pharmaceutical company, brought cannabis under its umbrella, into its fold. So there really are, first of all, 4 important cornerstones to any pharmaceutical company, and those are the green boxes that you see on the screen. So you need to have a pharmaceutical technology, whether it is unique IP, or whether it is generic. You still need to have that pharmaceutical technology, and you better be sure to have an R&D team with formulators, chemists, FDA specialists, regulatory specialists, scientists, helping guide you from everything that's involved, from the product development, the formulations, etc. And then you also, depending on which area you're going into in the pharma, is it an OTC pharmaceutical product, or is it a prescription drug? Just so everybody understands, prescription drugs are prescription drugs that basically you see a doctor, he writes you a script. It is a drug that goes through a lot of development. Not that OTCs don't, but OTC basically stands for over-the-counter. I'm really going to call it off-the-counter, because it means you walk into a Walgreens and a CVS, and you yourself pick it up right off the shelf, as opposed to behind the counter when the pharmacist gives you a product. Behind the counter, prescription drug, over the counter or right off the counter, that is an OTC. So you need to have one of those. This Aiden Scientific, by the way, is the parent company that launched Abacus Products 5 years ago. And it was Abacus that leveraged all that know-how to get to where it is today. And so Aiden's already had these relationships and sold OTC products into the stores like Walgreens and CVS. And then, of course, you have the regulatory side, FDA-registered products or FDA-approved products. And you need to, of course, have some type of facility, whether it's in-house or out-of-house. And sure enough, over time, you will build, if you don't have a strong executive team with key advisors. But how does cannabis cross over into pharma? This is me, by the way. although it was a couple years ago when I was a little thinner. But this is walking the tightrope, okay, between pharma and cannabis. And what's core here, the first thing that we did when we started is we got ourselves a great legal team. And it became a very important and probably one of our strongest assets to date. We went with and we hired former FDA attorneys that understood compliance and understood what we could and couldn't do. The last thing we wanted in a successful pharmaceutical company was to have black Suburbans coming down our driveway and arresting us. And really, I had nightmares of that happening. So we made sure what we did was legal, had to be legal first and foremost. Now, all pharmaceutical products, they make medical claims. Just to be clear, a medical claim, for example, cures fungus, arthritis pain relief, back and neck pain relief, cures eczema, helps eczema, treats itch and rash and pain. These are all medical claims. Medical claims sell, by the way, because you're talking directly to the individual. They have a problem. They see it on the shelf. This is what I have. I have arthritis. It says arthritis. I buy it. That is very different than cosmetic products or dietary supplements, which don't make claims. Now, some topicals, if they're cosmetic and they aren't registered with the FDA, they can't make medical claims for relaxation, calming. So customers in there like, wait, I have arthritis. Is this cosmetic product, is this for me? But then there's a product next to it that might say arthritis. You can understand why medical claims are going to sell a lot better. In order to make medical claims, you must have these two core facts, ingredients: proof of safety and proof of efficacy. Now, in the end, you basically will end up in one of these three buckets. You have prescription drug approval, you have OTC drug registration, and you have dietary supplement / cosmetics. Prescription drug approval is when you have a new material, or you discovered a new material, or you're using a new product, and you want to actually make medical claims around that product. Prescription drug registration is a very involved process. It will cost, especially if it's a systemic drug, anywhere from $200 million to $1 billion, and it will take anywhere from 5 to 10 years, and you'll have to go through multiple phases of clinical trials until it's approved by the FDA, if it is ever approved by the FDA. Very long process, very expensive process. OTC drug registration, again, something that you're going to pick up off the shelf, is a very different process. However, it still has a lot of regulatory hurdles, and it is still involved. You still have product development, stability studies that you have to do. It must be still, nonetheless, created, manufactured in an FDA-registered and audited facility. You have to have in-process product validations, and actually the list goes on. And then once your T's are crossed, your I's are dotted, you register with the FDA so that you can make certain medical claims based on what are called active ingredients and inactive ingredients, and those you'll find on the back of an OTC product. And we can go into that either later on, or you can ask me further questions, but again, it's long, it takes some time to explain all that. And then you have, and this process still is 1 to 3 years. And really the 1 to 3 years depends on whether you're doing it out of house or whether you're doing it in-house. And you can do it for somewhere between $1 to $3 million. So this is definitely a very fast route to market. If you want to have products out there and you want to start selling to the consumers in the industry, this is a very fast pathway to go. Then you have the dietary supplement and cosmetic market, and actually that is even a much faster way to go because it's 1 to 3 months, and you'll see that it says here no medical claims, and that is true, and that is why the latest stats are in the last 2 years, we now have in the United States somewhere between 1,400 to 1,700 CBD manufacturers. Dietary supplements, gummy bears, lollipops, popcorn, CBD hummus, right? This is where they're all coming from. And you can understand why. They can just take the oil, open up the tap, put it in a bottle, slap on a label that says dietary supplements on it. They can actually copy just about anybody's other label, or they don't even have to write dietary supplement. It might be a topical. And they can immediately start selling it out there into the marketplace. Fast, first, they can be out into the market very quickly, and that's why we have so many. In review, prescription drug approval for CBD, one company, GW Pharmaceutical, For Epidiolex, for a very small percentage of the country for a special medical use with a special type of epilepsy. OTC drug registration, it just so happens that Abacus Health Products is the only company in the United States that has the family of OTC registered products, actually over 40 FDA registrations, and so they are like the GW Pharmaceutical of OTCs. But again, wasn't done overnight, took many years to go ahead and get those registrations to be able to put onto the market. And then the last bucket is the dietary supplements and the cosmetic side. So what's important is you can be in any one of these. However, just so you have an appreciation for what is involved in these different stages. Most importantly, our responsibility to the public. When I say our responsibility, I'm talking about the cannabis industry. This is our responsibility to the public. Safe products, efficacious products, full transparency with what we're doing, and education. Because if we have the public trust, we will have a sustainable industry. Recreational cannabis is a sustainable industry. People want to get high, they smoke it, they get high. It answers their call in a moment's notice, right? That's how it works. But the medical cannabis market, people don't know yet, but they're hearing, they understand it. This is supposed to be a cure-all. What we have to do is give them products that are real, based on real science, based on real R&D. Give them something that is true, that works, is safe and efficacious, and that it says this does what you expect it to do. That is how we're going to gain the trust, and that is how this industry, the medical cannabis industry, will be sustainable. Lastly, I want to thank the state of Israel. It has been incredible to be able to work in Israel. We also have offices in addition also in Israel, but for its ingenuity, its courage, it is R&D that it does in cannabis, one of the first from Dr. Meshulam, 1957, through hundreds of clinical trials that they're doing today. In all the institutions and the universities as well around. So thank you, Israel, for doing this and also hosting conferences like this. And I'll just spend a few minutes taking some questions from the audience. Yes?
About regulation for food supplements, I mean, you have to prove non-toxicity.
Yeah,
That's a process of 90-day animal studies, and it's a year and a half and $1 million. It's not 3 months.
you mean dietary supplements? Yeah, well, you just really need to make sure you can use ingredients as long as they are proven safe. Then you can come out with a dietary supplement. And now, if you're coming out with a new formulation that might be different, you're absolutely correct. Yes, you're right, yes. Yes, but what you have seen in the industry is a lot of Me Too products with known ingredients that are already safe, and of course they meet the DSHEA laws, in which case they go forward with that. Yes?
Can you address the issue of pharma typically focusing on one molecule versus something as complex as the cannabis plant and the many compounds that are in it?
So, well, in the end, if it's going to be a unique, singular molecule of a structure that you are going to be making medical claims about, in the end, you need to take it through an NDA, and you have to take it through the regulatory process of an FDA as a prescription drug. You're going to say this molecule believed as A, B, C, D. You need to be able to prove that. First, you'll have to prove the safety of it, and then you'll have to prove the efficacy of it, and you'll have to do clinical trials in order to do so. But whether it's a singular molecular structure, or whether it is a complex structure of multiple ingredients, if you're going to be making a medical claim about that specific material that you have, whether it's single or whether it's multiple or it's a compound, you still will need to go through the proper FDA process to get prescription drug approval. Yes?
Regarding medical claims, when will the FDA start to go after the CBD companies who use medical claims
Illegally, you mean? Yes, right. So that is a great question, and we've been following that very closely. I can tell you a few things that we've learned about the FDA over the last 15 years working with the FDA. They are understaffed. They are under-resourced. And their first and foremost care and concern is the safety of the public. And that is where they start. They start with the lowest hanging fruit, meaning if there are dietary supplements, they look at ingestibles first and foremost. If there are dietary supplements that are making claims, for example, this is good for cancer, this could help cure cancer, or this is for autism, etc., they're going to come after somebody who's making those claims without properly doing the science behind it, because it means that that person might have been giving up a real cure for something that might not work. And usually companies that are doing that don't know what they're doing, aren't familiar with proper safety rules, regulations, making sure that it's safe, and thereby they may be endangering the consumer who's using them. So when will the FDA do it? They are doing it. They have done it in the past. About every year, there's about a dozen companies, but that's not enough, you're right, to go after. But if somebody's doing something wrong, illegally, et cetera, usually there's also, unfortunately, something else under the hood that isn't proper. And we want to make sure that, FDA does want to make sure safety is number one. This is the first priority. And last question.
I come from Colombia. We're getting a lot of investment right now, and too many companies are thinking, okay, I have enough money to build my own lab, medical and pharma lab. In your point of view, would you recommend starting from zero companies, new labs, or would you recommend working with labs that already have an experience and a trajectory?
Yeah, I would say that working with existing companies is a much faster track to be able to do what you want to do. We have done that. One of our keys to success has been working with existing infrastructures. If you can work with a lab that already, of course, has experienced pharmacologists, scientists, analytical chemists, et cetera, in the field that have experience and they know the equipment, et cetera, that is definitely the way that you want to go, is using existing instead of starting new again. I understand that might be attractive to some going new again. However, using existing infrastructures, I'd highly recommend that if you're talking about time to market, to get out some great technology. Okay, everybody, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure presenting to you. Thank you.